Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. And as always, thank you for lending me your ears. Today, I want to talk about an important question on many people's minds. How many people should you have on a virtual call to make the meeting effective? How many people should you have on a virtual call to make the meeting effective? What is that number? I got something for you. But before I start, I got to give you a definition. I want to introduce a new concept that maybe many of you have never heard of, called the Ringelmann effect. Ooh, sounds cool already. The Ringelmann effect is the tendency, according to Wikipedia, the tendency for individual members of a group to become increasingly less productive as the size of their group increases. Now, this is a brilliant definition. The Ringelmann effect is the tendency for individual members of a group to become increasingly less productive as the size of the group increases. In order to kind of drive this visual home, basically what it's saying is that the more people involved, the less people contribute individually. What does that mean? Visualize for a moment a tug of war. If it's one-on-one, both people are going to put in maximum effort. But if now we put two people on each side, let's just say they're going to split that effort, and you add a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one, you get the idea. People will contribute less. In a tug of war, it's a great illustration. Again, people are involved in the task, but their average performance decreases, each participant tending to feel that their own effort is not critical. Oh, that's a big line right there. Let me say that again. Each participant tending to feel that their own individual effort is not critical. So that means people will pull less on the rope, if you know what I mean, when there's more people involved. Now, this really plays into virtual engagement on video-to-video calls. When we're doing group calls, the more people we have on a group call, the less likely they are to want to participate or fully engage. Now, 92%, according to one study, this is an interesting study, 92% of people admit to multitasking during a meeting. 92% of people admit to multitasking during a meeting. Are you one of them? Right? In other words, we start doing other things, especially when the camera's not on. What they found also is something very interesting. When it's face-to-face, when you're there face-to-face with somebody, the engagement rate is like 94%. But what they're finding is when you move to video, in other words, you're doing an online meeting virtually, you pay attention 41% of the time, almost half as much. But it kind of makes sense, right? Because if you're not engaged, you're just not paying attention. Or can I just say, if you're not paying attention, you're simply not engaged. And the more people in the meeting, the less engagement you will have. So according to Virtual Selling by the Rain Group, this is a new book that came out, Virtual Selling by the Rain Group, they showed an interesting graph, and I am here to report it to you. And they had this interesting graph, but let me just go bottom line on this one. You can go up to 4 people, and the engagement threshold is still possible. In other words, you can hit some serious engagement up to 4 people. But what you begin to quickly see is after 5 people, the ability to engage people, get them involved in the meeting, virtual meeting, becomes that much more difficult. So what is the magic number? I'm going to stick that number right at 4. No more than 4. I think 3 would be better. But 4 is probably how big your meeting should be. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Victor, what if we have like 10, 20 people who that's mandatory that they be in the meeting? Well, that's another podcast. But right now, I am saying that if you have control over how many people you can have on a meeting, the magic number is 4, number 4. Take that to the bank. And again, keep this in mind. The smaller the group, the bigger the engagement. And that is it for this Sales Influence podcast. Don't forget to leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. Pandora, Spotify. Man, I'm all over the place. Leave me some feedback. Let me know what you think of this number 4. Also, check out my Sales Velocity Academy if you haven't already. Over 50 courses, 500 videos. I'm adding new content every week, every month, so check it out. If you're serious about increasing your sales velocity, go to salesvelocityacademy.com. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care.
Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.